Hi, my name is Doug, and I'm a certified PADI scuba dive master. I wanted to make this short video to discuss diving and the weather. I wanted to talk a little bit about a couple of weather phenomena, wind and rain, and how they can affect your dive. So the whole idea of diving is to go and have a good time and to enjoy what we're seeing in the water and the beautiful marine life and animal life that's underneath the waters. Weather can spoil that if it's bad enough, and it can potentially cancel the dive. So how can weather make or break a dive trip? Well, let's talk a little bit about wind. Wind can make a dive trip pretty miserable. But even some windiness, you can still go diving and have a great dive, especially when you get underneath the water. But one problem with the wind is that as the wind blows and goes across the surface of the water, friction takes place. And it's that friction as the wind is blowing that causes waves, surge, currents, the choppiness, surf to form. And from this choppiness and surf and current and so forth, that tends to stir up the water and all the particles and things that are in the water, and can have an adverse effect on the visibility that is in the water, because it kind of churns it up. Also, wind can blow dust, debris, can blow crap into the water and mix in with the water, also reducing your visibility. And if the bottom of the lake is, or the ocean, or wherever you're diving, is muddy or silty, this churning of the water can also stir up that mud or silt and reduce visibility greatly. So the other problem that we want to talk about is rain. And rain can also reduce visibility, especially if it's heavy rain or it's been raining for a long time. With the rain falling on the water, that also can kind of stir it up a little bit. But the bigger problem is when it's raining on land, the rivers and streams and tributaries that flow into the body of water that you're diving in, whether it's a lake or the ocean, those rivers and that runoff or that flow will go into those rivers, which goes into the lakes. Well, in that is silt and debris and mud, and all that crap gets stirred up from the rain, from the land, and even from the shores by the lake or the ocean. All that junk runs off right into the water and stirs it up, and that also can reduce your visibility greatly. So as we add the combination of both wind and rain, it can make the diving trip a miserable experience. You can also have a good diving experience too, so don't get me wrong. You can still have a good diving experience with some rain and wind, as long as it hasn't been done a long time or it's not really severe. But one of the problems with rain and wind is a lot of times the rain will be a little bit colder, and then you've got the wind, and when you're on your surface interval waiting to make your next dive, well, you're getting rained on, so you're constantly staying wet. You got the wind blowing on you, and those wetsuits can make a pretty good swamp cooler. So as that wind's blowing through you, you're continually staying wet, you can get chilled to where your teeth will even start chattering. And a lot of times divers can't wait to get back in the water after their surface interval's over, just to get warmed back up. So I know this has just been a really super brief and quick discussion about wind and rain, but as you plan your next dive trip, check out the weather and the weather conditions in the forecast before you go, so that you can kind of plan ahead. One good website that's out there where you can check out like the ocean surface information is at the National Data Buoy Center, which their website is ndbc.noaa, which is NOAA.gov. And on that website, you can look up several locations all around the world to see what the wave heights are, what the water temperature is, the wind speed on a lot of them, just things like that to give you an idea if you're going to be going diving there, what the current weather conditions are like. Also, it's a good idea to look up like the local weather places on the internet or however you can do it for the places you're going diving in, and look up the weather forecasts for where you're going to be to see what the weather's going to be like in the future. Now, granted, they're not always accurate, but it will give you a better idea so that when you plan that expensive dive trip to the tropical island somewhere, you don't get there and find out that you're in the middle of a 2-week-long monsoon and you're only going to be there for 2 days or a week, and now you've just spent all that money and can't go diving. So it's a really good idea to kind of just do a little planning before time and take a little extra time and effort to research what the weather is going to be like while you're where you're going to be at. And that can save you a lot of problems and some potential cancellations and missing out on some really good dives because you didn't check the weather out. And so obviously, if the weather is severe, there's severe raining, severe wind, severe thunderstorms, lightning, things like that, don't go diving. It's not worth it. You'll have a miserable experience most likely. Just wait and dive either later on when the storm settles down, or plan your dive for another day. That's okay. I mean, we can go diving another time, and it's not worth our safety to take a chance in the bad weather. So that's about all I have for right now. I just want to thank you for watching this, and be safe while you're out there diving, and have a great time diving. Thank you.